Am I audible to all of you? Guys, am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
fine. So we will quickly have a discussion on the remaining part for all of you from my side, that is the color theory and the color psychology, which I talked about in the previous classes while talking about elements of design or design principles or so. So what happens in color theory, or what are the factors that we need to look at? We will have a quick go through this, and understand what is there in color theory or in color psychology that you need to know, and from where your questions and all will be coming up for your final examination. So we know that there are quite a few colors are categorized in simple way. Colors are categorized in different formats or in different forms. Okay. Out of which the basic starting one from where this thing originates. So simply telling that you have several kinds of colors, but there are some colors which cannot be formed out of something. So the very basic colors from where it starts or so is known as the primary colors, and these are your red, blue and yellow. And these colors, as simple as that, cannot be formed by mixing any other colors, and that's the very simple reason why they are known as your primary colors. Followed by this, we have the secondary colors. Now, what are the secondary colors? Secondary colors are orange, purple and green, can be made by mixing the primary colors together. Tertiary colors, the 6 shades that can be made from mixing primary and secondary colors. Okay, so these are the 3 kinds of colors that we have. Now the other thing is that we need to look at that what are out of all these colors when we arrange them in a color wheel. So what are the warm colors gives you a sense of warm, and what are the cool colors? We will try to have a quick look in this aspect as well. Okay, yeah. So you have the color wheel. Color wheel is exactly oriented like this. Now, once you look at the color wheel, and once you look at how these things are being arranged or so, you see that on your left hand side, you are having quite great variety of colors that is made over here. Now, out of which you have this yellow, red, or any something like this dark pink color and all. So these are the colors which gives you a sense of warmthness, like a sense or a feeling of, you can tell, warmth. And whereas on the other hand side, you have the colors which gives you a sense of cool or calm, calmness. You can just understand simply by talking about, once we talk about these things, just try to understand or try to relate these colors with in which place or in where do you see these colors. It will be much easier for you to understand that, okay, in what kind of condition, do people use this warm light? In what kind of condition have you seen people using this kind of light? So it will be much easier for you to understand that when and where, or you do see these colors. Okay, so that's how these things occur. So that's how we need to look at it. Now, other than this, as I was telling, that, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, this is another representation of your these warm and cool colors, how they are situated, or where can you see them and all. Just a similar representation in an abstract format has been given to you. Okay, now after this, once we go below, we can see this thing, a house being decorated with a light yellow color along with a brown color. Now this gives you a sense of contrast, as I was discussing in the previous class or so. We will move further and look at the other examples or the other topics that we need to get clear with. So we have something over here known as saturation. So what is saturation? Saturation is your the intensity of the color is known as the saturation. Now, what is the difference between, see, value is the brightness or darkness. Someone might ask that increasing brightness makes things white, kind of look white or so. So I'll tell you first what is saturation. Very simply, once we talk about saturation, saturation is nothing but how much, like, for example, you have a box and you can place 10 red balls inside it in one plane in the XY axis. Okay, the XY plane. So in this plane, you are placing 10, it is densely packed. If you are placing instead of 10, 8, it is less packed. And now if you are placing just 3. So try to understand this in terms of molecules or stuff. You will understand saturation. You have some translucent sheets or file you have seen, like there is a tint of yellow, not fully dark opaque yellow color ka nahi hai, but there is slightly a tint type ka hota hai. So that is known as saturation. Like in one which is completely opaque, saturation of yellow is more, the number of particles giving you that pigment of yellow, showing you that color yellow is more, whereas the one where you can see something as translucent, the color aspect is less. And that's all about it. Other than that, we have something known as value as well. So what is value? Value is the brightness or darkness of the color. Okay. So now over here, we just to understand it very simply, what I will tell you is that try to relate it with adding black and white. That is the best example or the best way to understand this. So if you add black to a color, it increases the value. If you add white to a color, it sorry, I guess I told the opposite thing. So this is your 100% saturation. This is your 20% saturation example. Yeah. So if you are decreasing the value, it will become dark. If you're increasing the value, it will become light. Okay. So this is how it's done. Now over here, you can see the tint and shade of or the value of the color. So now this value is determined in terms of tint or shade. First of all, what is tint? Tint is nothing but adding white to the color, raw color, and making it more lighter and increasing the value. And what is shade? Shade is adding black to that raw color and decreasing the value. Okay, this is a monochromatic composition. Now, monochromatic compositions are compositions that are made out of one color. Now, why I am telling this as a monochromatic composition, let me tell that to you guys first. So, whatever you see in this composition, that someone might tell that, okay, the color of the skin is different, color of the hair is different, dress and sofa might be somewhat same. So, the thing is that whatever you can see over here is either the change in the saturation of the color red, or else the increment or decrement of the value of the color red. That's how this whole composition has been formed. Okay, so this is a monochromatic composition formed with one single color. This is a rich sense of contrast, what you can see over here. We move forward. So these are some of the other examples. Now see, as I was talking about previously, that there is contrast, and via contrast you draw a sense of attraction, or your sense of attention you draw of a person looking at the composition, and you create a point of interest or a focus point. So over here, person looking at the composition might not notice what is the color of these pants, or the lower portion of these people, or these people, or even these people. Okay, but a person will surely notice the red color pants over here, because red is having that kind of wavelength which is reaching you faster and gives gives you a sense of attraction, or your eyes are being drawn faster to that. So that is how your psychology works. And that is how the branding of a logo and all is done. So how would the background and all it should be arranged, and how it should be made for a better aspect. Now, these are some of the other examples. Okay, we have something written on saturation and value. We will quickly have a look through this as well. Do not overdo it. Use it to guide the viewer. Use it to tell the story. Use it to change the mood. Draw attention to something. These are the things about saturation and value you should remember. Now, what are color harmonies we need to look at? So this is nothing but arranging the color composition, arranging all the colors in a color wheel. And after that, what you see is the Usage of tint or shade, you can tell, like, sorry, increment or decrement of the value of the color in this color wheel, which gives you a color harmony of all the colors in its varieties of tint and shade and variety of saturation. That is how and what you can see over here. Okay. Now, something as I was telling previously as monochromatic, only one color, best for single subjects, atmospheric. This is a good example for monochromatic composition. Have a look at it, everyone, quickly. Fine, let's move forward now. So we had a look at what is monochromatic composition, few other examples, and the color tone used over there in that particular composition. Okay. Now we have something known as analogous color composition. What is analogous color composition? As simple as that, three adjacent colors on the color wheel, can be anything. Three colors side by side taken and a composition made out of that. Colors adjacent on wheel, easy on eyes, peaceful or comfortable mood seen in nature. Now, these are some of the best examples of your analogous color composition. You guys can have a look through the following examples. See how three different colors on the color wheel, like things are being alternate or changed, and the resultant is being formed. Okay, now coming to the triadic color scheme. What about this triadic color scheme we need to know? So how this acts also. Triadic color scheme is nothing but equally distant colors in the color wheel. So number of colors on the color wheel cannot increase. So once you look at it, in between two colors, there will be three other blank spaces. Okay, that we will not consider. So in other way around, we can tell equally distant colors on the color wheel. Very easy to understand. Three colors we will choose one. We chose red. We left the next three. Chose the fourth one. We left the next three. Chose the seventh one. So this is how it's done in a triadic color scheme. Hard to pull off, best for cartoon and certain scenes. Okay. You have a look at these compositions and you will understand like how this color composition or this color scheme have been used over here to understand or to identify these things. Okay. Now, what is complementary color scheme? Many of you have this doubt. So complementary color scheme is nothing but two colors opposite to each other on the color wheel is known as a complementary color scheme, or opposing colors on wheel. Very popular, naturally pleasing to eye. One color predominant will be predominant over here. So one color, since two opposite colors on the color wheel, so easily it can be told like that they are creating the maximum amount of contrast because both are opposite to each other. That's how the color wheel has been formed. Now, once they are creating the maximum amount of contrast, definitely, how can you understand contrast? Or what I told about contrast is that both the things that are par with each other. So something is on your left hand side, extreme left, something is on your extreme right. Just for the sake of understanding, I am telling this. So complementary color is something similar. Both are on the extreme ends, hence telling that it is a complementary, hence creating a rich sense of contrast. And if it creates a contrast, definitely one color will surpass or dominate the other one, and that will stand out. Henceforth, it will create a contrast. So that's how this thing has been done. You can see over here. Okay. Now let us move on for the next thing. So we are having some of the best examples for this complementary color scheme to look at. Split complementary, not really necessary. Nothing but one color you will choose, the opposite one will not be taken, adjacent two colors of the opposite one will be considered. That is what is split complementary. feels lively, joyous, more creative freedom, similar to complementary, but one and extended. This is all about it. Now we have something known as the tetradic or the double complementary color scheme. Two pair of opposing colors. Okay, no, not required. Don't go through this. Okay, I'll just move on from here. So the summary of all these things: saturation, do not overdo it. Best for highlighting areas of interest or telling a story. Other than that, use color harmonies for pleasing combinations. We have the monochromatic color scheme, and other than that, we have your analogous color scheme. So simply in one phrase or one word answer is adjacent colors. Triadic is equally distant. Complementary is opposite. Split complementary is split complementary is one complementary and extended. Okay, double complementary not required at all. Now we move on into color psychology. See, color psychology is nothing but whatever you feel by seeing a color is all about color psychology. Okay, so whenever you see red, for example, it gives you a feel of anger, or it reaches you much more better, or it gives you a sense of risk sometimes. And that's why, for example, danger signs are made in red. Okay, so it gives automatically, that thing has been implanted in your mind in course of time, because generation after generation people are using it now. So how things, it is a kind of normal thing. Something for example, on your computer and all, sometime if you have seen that there is an antivirus notice telling you to upgrade it, or buy the next package and all, they will give you it in red color banner, telling that okay, if you don't do it, it is risk. So it also acts in a psychological manner of a person. A person, when seeing that color, anyhow will look for it. Okay, might be a risk, because the sense of risk is being conveyed to the person by that color as well. If that same thing was, that banner came up, pop-up came up on your laptop telling that by psychologically, that aspect wouldn't have acted. So this is not something vague I am talking about. Just these things have been proven, and this is how things act actually. So mostly for a person, for patients and all, it's always better to have a light blue color in the room. So this is how it is good for the psychological health of the patient, keeps him calm and all. And if the thing which is the best will be a white color. Okay. So this is how these things act, or how you should choose the colors, or how you should look at it and all. Use of colors in a brand identity. Carefully observe this chart and all. Not required. Questions are identifying the color scheme, selecting colors according to the mood and story, color mixing and color grade. Okay, there are some questions related to your colors only. Some of these compositions you have seen in your design principles class as well. Okay. Yeah. So I just stop sharing the screen. And thanks a lot for people who are there on YouTube live, ending the live